Have you ever stood in the grocery aisle, holding something like a granola bar or a carton of fruit juice, thinking, "This has to be good for me, it says heart healthy right on the label." You're trying your best, reading ingredients, watching your salt and sugar, maybe even passing on the cookies in favor of something that sounds like it's good for your heart. But what if I told you that some of these so-called healthy foods might actually be doing more harm than good, especially for those of us in our 60s, 70s, and beyond? Now, I'm not here to make you afraid of your fridge or toss out everything in your pantry, but I am here to help you make smarter, simpler choices, because the truth is, your heart health after 60 is too important to leave to misleading labels and outdated food trends. And I know, it can feel overwhelming. 1 minute eggs are bad, the next they're good. One doctor says drink red wine, another says don't touch it. It's exhausting. That's why today, we're going to cut through the confusion together. In this video, we're diving into 7 popular, healthy foods that might be silently working against your heart health and what you can do instead. These aren't extreme or obscure items, either. These are everyday foods that you've probably eaten this week, or maybe even today. And don't worry, this isn't about giving up everything you enjoy. It's about understanding why these foods might be problematic, especially as we age, and how to make better choices that support your heart, your energy, and your peace of mind. So let's jump right in, starting with a classic that's fooled a lot of well-meaning folks. Let's talk about low-fat yogurt. Now, I know what you might be thinking, yogurt is good for me, right? It's got calcium, it helps my digestion ... And yes, yogurt can be a healthy food, but not all yogurts are created equal. In fact, many of the low-fat or fat-free varieties you see on store shelves are packed with hidden sugars. That creamy, fruity swirl. It might look innocent, but one little container can have 20, even 25 grams of added sugar. That's like spooning in 5 or 6 teaspoons of sugar with your breakfast. And here's the thing about sugar, it's not just about weight gain or cavities. Sugar, especially in excess, is a silent saboteur of your heart. It triggers inflammation, messes with your cholesterol levels, and contributes to insulin resistance, all of which are serious risks for heart disease. For those of us over 60, our bodies aren't as quick to bounce back from those spikes in blood sugar or inflammation. What used to be a mild indulgence can become a real problem. So what can you do instead? Go for plain, full-fat yogurt. That healthy fat helps you feel full and satisfied. And when there's no added sugar, you're in control. Add your own berries or a sprinkle of cinnamon for flavor. It might take a little adjustment at first, but your heart and your waistline will thank you. Alright, let's move on to something that sneaks into a lot of health-conscious diets: whole grain bread. Whole grains can be heart-friendly, but here's where it gets tricky. Just because it says whole grain on the label doesn't mean it's truly healthy. A lot of breads labeled as whole wheat or multigrain are still highly processed. They often contain refined flour, added sugars, and preservatives that spike your blood sugar and lead to energy crash, and over time, those crashes can wear on your cardiovascular system. Even worse, many of these breads are made with additives that mimic the texture of real whole grains without delivering the same benefits. So you're left with something that sounds heart healthy, but behaves more like white bread once it's in your system. Think about it, have you ever had a sandwich and then felt sleepy or foggy not long after? That's not just aging. That's your blood sugar spiking and then crashing. When you're in your 60s or 70s, that kind of stress on your body adds up fast. It puts strain on your pancreas, on your arteries, on your energy levels, and yes, on your heart. So what's the better option? Look for breads with minimal ingredients, ones you can pronounce, ideally made with 100% whole grains like oats or sprouted grains. Or, if you're up for it, try grain-free options like almond flour or flaxseed bread. They tend to be lower in carbs and higher in healthy fats and fiber, which support stable blood sugar and a happy heart. Now, this next one might surprise you, because it's often recommended for heart health: vegetable oils. We've been told for decades that vegetable oils like canola, soybean, corn oil are better than butter or lard. And while it's true they're lower in saturated fats, there's a hidden problem. These oils are highly processed and often contain large amounts of omega-6 fatty acids. In small amounts, omega-6 are fine. But when they overwhelm your diet, as they often do in processed foods, salad dressings, and even those heart-healthy margarine spreads, they can throw off your body's balance of inflammation. Too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3 like the kind you get from fatty fish or flax seeds leads to chronic inflammation, a major player in heart disease. And unfortunately, most people over 60 grew up during the peak of the low-fat, vegetable oil boom, so these oils have found their way into many daily meals without us even realizing it. Here's a quick test. Think about the oil you cook with. Is it light, clear, and odorless? That's often a sign it's been heavily refined. And the more refined, the more damage it can do in the long run. A better choice: switch to extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or even a little real butter from time to time, especially if it's grass-fed. These fats are more stable, less inflammatory, and far kinder to your heart when used in moderation. So, we've looked at yogurt, bread, and cooking oils, 3 foods that show up in many kitchens, all dressed up as healthy, but carrying risks that grow more serious with age. As we move through life, our bodies become more sensitive to inflammation, blood sugar swings, and the buildup of plaque in our arteries. That's why these foods, while they may have seemed harmless or even helpful years ago, deserve a second look now. And the good news is, you don't have to overhaul your whole life. You just need to start noticing, asking questions, and making simple swaps. It's not about fear, it's about freedom. The freedom to feel better, think clearer, and protect the years ahead with confidence. Now, let's keep going. There are still more of these healthy foods that could be quietly sabotaging your heart. And the next one, well, it's something a lot of people turn to when they're trying to cut sugar, but it might be doing just the opposite. And the next one, well, it's something a lot of people turn to when they're trying to cut sugar, but it might be doing just the opposite. Let's talk about diet sodas and artificial sweeteners. Now, I know how tempting it is to reach for that zero-calorie soda or sugar-free treat, especially when you're watching your blood sugar or trying to lose a few pounds. And sure, it feels like a win, you get the sweetness without the guilt. But what if I told you that these sugar substitutes could be quietly confusing your body and putting your heart at risk? Here's the problem. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin may not contain calories, but they do still send signals to your brain and gut. When your taste buds detect sweetness, your body expects real sugar to follow. But when that sugar doesn't come, your insulin response can get thrown off. Over time, this may lead to insulin resistance, weight gain around the belly, and even higher blood sugar levels, the very things you were trying to avoid in the first place. But it's not just about blood sugar. Several studies have raised concerns that regular use of artificial sweeteners may increase the risk of cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes, especially in older adults. And while the science is still developing, one thing is clear: just because something is sugar-free doesn't automatically make it safe or smart for your heart. Instead of going artificial, try retraining your taste buds to appreciate natural flavors. Add fresh lemon or cucumber to your water, sip on herbal teas, or sweeten your food with small amounts of honey, stevia, or monk fruit if needed. These more natural choices are gentler on your system and less likely to throw your metabolism off balance. And you might be surprised, after a few weeks without diet sodas, your body may stop craving that intense sweetness altogether. Now, let's shift to something that's often seen as a health food staple, especially for folks trying to lower their cholesterol: packaged oatmeal. Now don't get me wrong, oats can be a fantastic part of a heart-healthy diet. They're rich in soluble fiber, which helps reduce bad cholesterol. But this is a big but not all oatmeal is created equal. Those little instant packets with flavors like maple brown sugar or apple cinnamon, they often contain more sugar and additives than actual oats. Some of these packets sneak in as much sugar as a bowl of sugary cereal. Plus, they're often made with thinner, more processed oats that don't keep you full for very long. So you end up spiking your blood sugar, crashing an hour later, and maybe even reaching for a snack you didn't really need. It's a roller coaster that your heart and your energy levels don't want to be on. A better option: go for plain rolled oats or steel-cut oats. They take a bit longer to cook, but they're worth the extra time. You can add your own toppings: fresh fruit, cinnamon, a handful of walnuts or almonds for flavor and crunch without the added sugar. And the fiber will help keep your digestion moving, your cholesterol in check, and your heart feeling strong. And speaking of nuts, let's touch on something else that hides behind a healthy label: store-bought nut butters. Yes, nuts themselves are full of healthy fats and nutrients that can support your heart. But many commercial peanut butters and almond butters are loaded with added sugar, hydrogenated oils, and even salt, turning a heart-healthy snack into a sneaky little trap. The hydrogenated oils, in particular, are worth calling out. These trans fats are known to increase bad cholesterol (LDL) and lower the good kind (HDL). And even though many food manufacturers have started phasing them out, some reduced fat or shelf-stable nut butters still contain them under the radar. All of this adds up to extra inflammation, clogged arteries, and extra stress on your heart over time. So what should you look for instead? Just check the label. The only ingredient you really need in peanut butter is peanuts. Maybe a little salt. Same goes for almond or cashew butters. If it says palm oil, sugar, or anything you can't pronounce, it's time to look for a cleaner option. And if you're feeling adventurous, making your own nut butter at home with a food processor is easier than you might think. Now, there's one more big one to talk about, and it's a food that's gotten a lot of attention in recent years, especially among people looking for a meat alternative: plant-based meat substitutes. From veggie burgers to imitation sausages, these products are everywhere now. And I'll be honest, some of them taste really good. They've come a long way since the cardboard-like patties of the past, and they're often marketed as heart-healthy, sustainable, and cholesterol-free. Sounds perfect, right? Not so fast. Many of these plant-based meats are highly processed. They're made in factories with long lists of ingredients you'd never use in your own kitchen, things like soy protein isolate, methylcellulose, and a cocktail of flavorings and preservatives to make them taste like meat. On top of that, many of them are loaded with sodium. One veggie burger patty can have as much salt as a bag of chips. And for seniors especially, high sodium intake can lead to elevated blood pressure, a major risk factor for heart disease and stroke. That doesn't mean you need to avoid all plant-based options, but it does mean you need to be picky. Look for simpler veggie burgers made from real ingredients like beans, lentils, quinoa, and vegetables. Or better yet, make your own at home. You'll know exactly what's going into them, and your heart will thank you for the cleaner fuel. All of these foods, diet sodas, flavored oatmeal packets, overly processed nut butters, and imitation meats might look like the smart, health-conscious choice on the surface. But dig a little deeper, and you'll see they can silently put pressure on your heart, your blood vessels, and your overall health. The good news? You're not stuck. You're not powerless. And it's not too late. Every choice you make, even just switching to plain oats or sipping on water with lemon, can start steering your body in a better direction. Your heart is resilient. It wants to heal. You just have to give it the right support. Let's keep that momentum going, because there's one more common food we need to talk about. You've probably had it in your kitchen for years, maybe even decades. And while it might seem like a healthy staple, it could be quietly raising your blood pressure every time you use it. And while it might seem like a healthy staple, it could be quietly raising your blood pressure every time you use it. Let's talk about canned soups. Now, I know soups have always been a comfort food. They're warm, easy to digest, and often feel like a gentle, nourishing option, especially when you're not feeling your best. And for many seniors, soup becomes a go-to meal because it's simple to prepare, especially when it's just you at home or you don't have the energy to cook a full dinner. But here's where the problem begins. Most canned soups, even the ones labeled low-fat or light, are packed with sodium. It's not always obvious either, because the serving sizes are usually small. You might think you're having just one serving, but finish the whole can and you've easily consumed over 1,000 milligrams of sodium, sometimes more than half of what's recommended for the entire day. And sodium, as you probably know, is a major culprit in high blood pressure. When your body holds on to excess salt, it pulls more water into your bloodstream. That means higher blood volume, which leads to more pressure against your artery walls. Over time, this added pressure can wear out your blood vessels, stress your heart, and raise your risk of heart attacks, strokes, and even kidney problems. Now, this doesn't mean you need to swear off soup forever. Not at all. But instead of relying on canned versions, consider making your own at home. A simple vegetable soup made with low-sodium broth, fresh or frozen vegetables, a little lean protein, and some herbs can be just as quick and way more heart-friendly. Or, if you do use canned soups from time to time, dilute them with water, add your own veggies, and balance them out with lower sodium meals for the rest of the day. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. So now we've gone through all 7 foods, each one with a healthy halo, but potentially dangerous when it comes to heart health, especially after 60. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, great. What am I supposed to eat now? Let me reassure you. There are so many nourishing, heart-supportive foods out there. You don't need to rely on sugar-filled yogurts, over-processed breads, artificial sweeteners, or salty cans of soup. You just need a little awareness, a few smart swaps, and a bit of patience as your taste buds adjust. Because here's the truth that no one tells us often enough: as we age, your body is still capable of healing. Your heart is still responsive. Your metabolism isn't broken. It's just been misled for years by flashy labels and clever marketing. But now you know better. And knowing better means you can do better, without going to extremes or giving up the foods you love. So let's do a little recap, not like a school lesson, but just a gentle reminder. That fruity low-fat yogurt, replace it with plain, full-fat yogurt and add your own toppings. That whole grain bread, choose true whole grains or sprouted options with simple ingredients. Vegetable oils, swap them out for olive oil or avocado oil. Better fats for a better heart. Diet sodas and sugar-free snacks. Cut back, retrain your taste buds, and go natural when you can. Flavored oatmeal packets, trade them for old-fashioned oats with real fruit and cinnamon. Store-bought nut butters, keep it simple, just the nuts and maybe a pinch of salt. And those canned soups, make your own when you can, or go low sodium and doctor them up wisely. Each of these steps is small, but powerful. They're about giving your heart the calm, steady support it needs in this stage of life. No crash diets, no fear tactics, just simple, sensible changes that respect your body, your taste, and your years of experience. And here's something else I want you to remember. This isn't about being perfect. No one eats perfectly all the time, not me, not you, not anyone. But when you become aware, you take back control. You start making choices from a place of strength, not confusion. And those choices add up. That's how you protect your heart, not with the loudest headline or the latest fad, but with quiet, consistent care. So, the next time you're walking down the grocery aisle and you see something with heart healthy on the label, take a moment, flip it over, read the ingredients, ask yourself if it's truly nourishing or just marketing in disguise. You've earned the wisdom to know the difference. And more than anything, please don't feel discouraged. If you've been eating these foods for years, it's okay. You're not broken. You're just beginning a new chapter, and the choices you make now can still have a powerful, positive effect. You've got time, you've got support, and you've got more strength in you than you think. I'd love to hear from you. What was the most surprising food we talked about today? Have you made any of these swaps already? Share your experience in the comments below. It might just help someone else who's on the same journey. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like so more seniors like you can discover these insights. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more empowering, practical health tips that speak to your stage of life. We're here to help you feel stronger, more energized, and more confident with every year that passes. Because aging isn't a decline, it's a transition. One filled with opportunity, wisdom, and yes, even a little bit of fun. So here's to your heart. May it stay strong, steady, and full of life for many, many years to come. Until next time, take good care of yourself. You deserve it.